Is Valentine's a bummer this year? Are you struggling in some relationships at home? Let's talk about it! Barry Smith here, pastor and husband of 25 years, parent of 18 years, and a guy who's wasted so much time trying to love my wife. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not a waste of time to love your wife. I just wasn't any good at it. She didn't feel the love I was trying to dish out. Fortunately, I read a book that changed both of our lives before it got really ugly. I mean, it got ugly. Really ugly. Maybe you've been there too. And when that happens, you really don't want to even look at the other person, let alone try to have a conversation. Psychologist Janice Spring described that most people wait for love to return before they'll recommit to their marriage. But she explains it further that it's really way easier to act our way into feelings than to feel our way into actions. I mean, think about it. If you go through a rough time and things are in really bad shape, feeling love isn't going to just happen. Love takes effort. Feelings are deceptive. If you ever wanted to have any chance of making it in your marriage, you have to act your way into feeling, not feel your way into action. Falling in and out of love is for rookies. There's no maturity in that. Yes, love is an emotional need for all of us, but sometimes you just gotta bear down and take action instead of following your feelings around like a teenage schoolgirl. You gotta keep your spouse's love tank full and vice versa. And that takes work, effort, a lot of work, a lot of action. And too many spouses are spinning their wheels on what to do and how to do it, especially around Valentine's Day. Well, a great book has been written with over 11 million copies sold and a #1 New York Times bestseller for 8 years running. Gary Chapman hit the home run, the nail on the head with this one, called The 5 Love Languages, where we learn how to express love in a language that our spouse or significant other understands. Over at Family with Purpose, my wife and I are going to be giving away one of these books every week for the next 5 weeks as we go through each of the 5 love languages on a weekly basis. So to keep this video short, here they are with an explanation and a little bit of a warning as well. #1, words of affirmation. These are encouraging notes or cards. This is something that kind of builds them up. Ephesians 4:29 says, "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen." It's all about affirmation. Building others up is a powerful motivator, but the opposite is also true. For those with words of affirmation as their primary love language, you've got to avoid criticism. There's nothing worse for a man than a wife who disrespects him and doesn't admire him. It's not that you can't criticize. It's that if you have to criticize a person with that as their love language, it's a tank drainer. The second love language is gift giving. These are simple gifts for special occasions or just for no reason at all. They don't have to be expensive and can even be free. It's not about materialism or greed. It's about thoughtfulness. A $5 gift card or a heart-shaped piece of paper for a free massage or a night out with friends, that would just be great. Even some wild flowers picked out of the backyard might just do the trick. But one thing to definitely avoid with someone who has gift giving as their primary love language, avoid forgetting. You gotta remember those special days like birthdays and anniversaries. Otherwise, it's a tank drainer. The third love language is acts of service. This is also pretty simple. It's just action. It's working in the yard. It's doing the house chores, repairs, helping someone move. The honey-do list, Galatians 5:14, says the entire law is summed up in a single command: love your neighbor as yourself. These acts of service could be random or they could be planned. Cook a meal for someone. Do the laundry. Wash the car. You've heard the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Well, the way to a woman's heart is through the restaurant front doors. But be sure to avoid ignoring requests. If you ignore a request for help from someone with the primary love language of acts of service, it's a tank drainer for sure. The fourth love language is quality time. This is often one-on-one time with no significant interruptions. It's face-to-face conversation. And do know this for sure, write it down. Quality time is birthed out of quantity time. You can't come in the door and say, "We've got 30 minutes, let's have some quality time." It can't be forced, it doesn't work that way. So take some long walks together. Carve out some chunks of time just to be together, eye to eye. It's a powerful thing. And for those with quality time as their primary love language, avoid separation. Now, obviously, you can't avoid separation completely. Everyone has to work and go outside from time to time. But when you're gone for a long time, for this person, it's a tank drainer. The final love language is physical touch. This happens to be mine. These are just the nonverbals, right? This is the pat on the rear or back rub or holding hands or hugs or kisses and sex, but it's not just sex. And it's not just an opposite sex thing. Guys can be seen greeting each other with a hug or a slap or whatever. It's all physical touch. But one thing to avoid with this person as their primary love language, avoid neglect or abuse. Someone with physical touch as their primary love language that gets deprived of touch, or worse yet, that touch is abusive, that is a tank drainer to say the least. Now, each of us has one primary love language. It's the one that you can't live without. What's that for you? You could figure that out. But one last tip before we're done. It's only natural and expected that we would speak to others in the love language that's ours. So if words of affirmation is my primary love language, I am likely to be the person who's always complimenting and affirming other people. But if the people I'm doing that with, including my spouse, doesn't have words of affirmation as their primary love language, then my efforts are nice, but they don't really get it. The love language really doesn't land. They don't truly understand it. It's not that it's completely useless. It's just not their love language. So find out what love language your loved ones have. And here's a link to a short free assessment that you can click on that link, jump over there, take the assessment in no time at all, and find out what your love language is, and then share that with somebody else that you care about. Above all else, remember to speak their language, not yours. You'll find out that they feel your love like never before, and that you don't have to make as much effort or wonder if you're actually doing any good at loving your spouse or your kids or parents. You'll know, for the first time probably, that you're filling their love tank. You'll know that they are feeling the love you're giving them, and you'll know that you're not wasting your time, because if their tank isn't being filled by you, they're going to look to someone else to get it filled. It also gives you your marching orders that if things aren't going too well in your relationship, it doesn't matter how you feel about how things are going. What matters is that you speak their love language. And as always, I hope you'll like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. It helps us get the word out, and I'd really appreciate it if you'd do that. And if you like our stuff, consider supporting us with a tip on PayPal or a tax-deductible donation at YouChoose.Community. The links are both below. So right now, go ahead and hit that thumbs up and share this thing, because no doubt someone you know probably needs to hear it. And let me know what you think below. Until next time. Even some wild flowers picked out of the backyard might really stroke an itch that isn't there. Oh my gosh.